We knew what Saquon Barkley turned down during the bye week, which was a contract around $12 million per year. There are people that believe that $14 million per year would get it done. Maybe the Giants don't want to go that high, so they could end up franchise tagging him for around $10 million per year. And I know that that's not something that the player wants, but that is an option to the New York Giants if they want to keep Saquon around for another year. And to me, that would be the smart option, regardless if he is happy with it or not. Now, the other part of this article, it gives numbers as to what the belief is of what Daniel Jones is going to get per season. And that number is over $35 million per year. Over $35 million. Now,
and I think it went up as the season went on.
Well, clearly.
The better he played, the more he ingratiated himself to the owners, and I think the coaches really do appreciate him. And, he's a quiet guy. He's a low-key guy. He's never going to cause any issues off the field. Teammates love him. Teammates respect him. His numbers are good. They're not great. They're good, and they steadily got better as the year went on, and he became more and more of a force for the Giant offense, especially with the group of skilled players that were around him.
So if he gets over $35 million per season, let's just say 36, 37, he would be the 9th highest paid quarterback in the NFL.
Until Jalen Hurts gets his contract, Justin Herbert gets his contract, Joe Burrow gets his contract, and then he'll probably drop down to 13th or 14th.
Okay. Lamar Jackson's another one in there.
Yeah, exactly. And, and it is real. I'm telling you, man, I would not be surprised to see Baltimore trade Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, right. So tag him and trade him.
Trade him before you tag him. Trade him and allow him to go talk to another team.
But wait a second, they can't do that because he's a free agent at this point.
Well, they would have to. I guess you're right. You would have to tag and trade him, and right. You would think that he would end up. And you're allowed to negotiate a contract until a certain point of the summer. I forget when it is, like in the middle of July or something. So I would not be surprised if that happens.
Okay, and you're still thinking Atlanta.
I still think Atlanta. Yeah. It makes unbelievable. I mean, this is what we've been talking about for about 2 months now.
Now, let me ask you something. If the Giants came in and said, $30 million, this 37, we're going to give you $30 million. Is he going to say no? Now, all you have done is told me that Daniel Jones needs to stay here.
He does.
And Mike Kafka's coming back.
Which
obviously,
is great.
Brian Daboll's coming.
Everybody's coming back, which is great.
So why not, if there's some leverage on the Giants side, and Daniel Jones hasn't had that big contract yet, and he maybe wasn't even expecting to get near $30 million a year heading into this season, why not offer him $30 million? Hey, get this done right now, $30 million per year.
Players got to keep getting as much as they possibly can get, man.
I know that, but I'm just saying in this specific instance, don't you think they could get it done for less than 35, 36, 37? Somebody else could have.
So if you told me, if you put it in this perspective, that he was going to be the 13th or 14th highest paid player in the league after all of this stuff shakes out this year, right, I would say that would be pretty much fair. That would be the compensation that he would kind of deserve from where he is in the pecking order of quarterbacks in the NFL. I would say that would be fair. But if I sit here and you say right now it's $37 million and it puts him in the top 10, that's going to be eclipsed and he's going to be dropping down. So it really comes down to what is the going rate for starting quarterbacks and somebody that you are going to invest in. The one thing I'll say about Daniel Jones, that's a safe investment. It's a safe investment.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about him.
It's not a Kyler Murray investment because the Kyler Murray thing I think is a bad deal. And this Jonathan Gannon who took over out there in Arizona basically said we got to build around Kyler Murray the way that the Eagles built around Jalen Hurts.
Called him elite. Called the man elite.
He's got to say that, but he'll get in there and he'll find out that he's doesn't want to come in, doesn't want to be the first guy in and the last guy out and be the guy that you're paying that amount of money to.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones is the opposite of that.
Sure. The only thing you have to worry about with him is injury, and he seems to have gotten over that as recently as last season.
Played smarter.
Right.
Played a lot smarter.
Every year is different, so you don't know. But explain this to me, because there's been other times I've floated this to you and you have swatted it down. That there'd be another team out there that would be interested in Daniel Jones enough to drive up the price. And because this musical chairs game with quarterbacks is going to end up with one of these teams and wants to upgrade at that position, left with scrap heap guys.
Well, you say scrap heap guys. I mean, it's a little bit.
You know what I'm talking about.
I understand. Guys
Garoppolo,
that,
Dalton, these guys. Baker Mayfield, if Matt Ryan still wants to play, the scrap heap guys. So if you're telling me there's nobody out there that's going to be interested in Daniel Jones to drive up the price, and Daniel Jones wants to stay with the New York Giants, why do they have to pay him that much?
Let me ask you a question. In your humble estimation, who's the better quarterback, Daniel Jones or Derek Carr?
Oh, man. I'll tell you, after last season, next year I would take Daniel Jones. And I would have never thought I'd ever say that in my life.
Right.
And I put Daniel Jones near the bottom at this list this time last year. The way that he played with his legs, with nobody around him, and to get that team to the divisional round of the postseason, and Derek Carr, all the issues that he had, blowing games, everything else, team moving on from him, and you got the exact opposite situation. The Raiders can't wait to get rid of Derek Carr. The Giants can't wait to sign him to a deal for $35 million a year. So my answer is Daniel Jones. It is. And
it's amazing. You've come around on Daniel Jones and you've come around on Kirk Cousins.
I have, which is nuts. It just shows you, though, that I'm willing to let these guys prove it to me.
Well, and Daniel Jones did prove it. But again, he didn't throw 35 touchdown passes.
Well, but then again,
who was he throwing it to? Right, exactly. I think they asked him to do a lot. He carried a lot of weight this year.
Ran a ton.
There was a ton of every game he had to be on.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, people don't realize, like, 17-game season, every game you got to be on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he can't have an off day. And if he did have an off day, they ended up losing.
Yeah. So who would you take out of those two guys? Derek Carr, Daniel Jones.
It's close. I think I want the dual threat guy. I want the guy that's going to be able to do two things. And I have to say, Daniel's younger. I think he looked like he was much more comfortable in this offense, and the coaches got the best out of him. I want Daniel for the Giants. I don't want Daniel somewhere else. That's the thing that I'm saying.
Yeah, sure. But then again, you could look at it, and we'll see how the Giants upgraded the skill positions. But, Daniel with somebody else in another offense with better weapons could be even more of a prolific guy.
Yeah, put T. Higgins out there. That would help.
Yeah, that would help. And I don't know. I'm not wasting my money on Saquon Barkley. To me.
Well, this is where I think it sucks for running backs because, he's played 5 years. He's made it through 3 of those years. 3 of those years he's been the back that I think that Dave Gettleman drafted. He was over 1,000 yards. He's scoring touchdowns. He's catching balls out of the backfield, that kind of thing. But unfortunately for those guys, that look at what the Eagles were paying their running backs. Look at what the Kansas City Chiefs were paying their running backs.
Nothing. Yeah.
I mean, that's the reality of the league. And even with the exception of maybe Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, I don't know what the hell is going to happen to Alvin Kamara now, and Saquon Barkley. I mean, everybody else nobody's making any money.
Right.
Derrick Henry maybe is making some money.
Yeah, he's the other one. Yep, he is the other one. But, to me, it's like so they got Isaiah Hodgins on a unbelievable contract when he came back and he was the best wide receiver that they had down the stretch. He's going to make $800,000.
That's a great contract for the Giants, and they'll hopefully get a guy that is going to get better than he was last year, and he's going to outkick his contract.
You would think so. That's what they need to find.
That guy, even if he put up what he did this year, next year, that's a player that outkicked this contract.
Well, yeah, this was only with 8 games. So, think about with a full season.
Right.
So that's what they need at the running back position. They need a guy who's making a little bit of money.
I don't think that Joe Shane doesn't know that.
Well, of course, and that's the type of stuff they did up in Buffalo. Now, I think that Buffalo needs a little bit better of a running back, quite frankly. A little bit more of a running game. But they had success offensively with that same type of model.
Man, I'd love to be a quarterback these days. That's all I can tell you, because the going rate is just ridiculous. Now, the interesting question, like I was asking you about Daniel Jones or Derek Carr, and I want the dual threat guy, and I want the guy that actually led his team to the playoffs and played his ass off, as opposed to the guy that, unfortunately in the fourth quarter did not do well, and they blew a lot of leads out in LA, in Las Vegas. But still, that doesn't mean that he is not going to get paid, Derek Carr. So does that take the Jets out of it? If somebody's going to give Derek Carr 4 years, $35 million per.
Yeah, I mean, if they're hanging on to Zach Wilson, then yeah. I mean, because I don't know. I would not give Derek Carr that type of money. I wouldn't. And I know that you're putting all your eggs in the Aaron Rodgers basket at that point, and that's a dangerous thing to do. But that's a lot of money for a guy who's okay.
Yeah, so the salary cap went up to $225 million this year. So there's plenty of room and plenty of money to be spent. Now you got to spend it the right way. And, if you want a starting quarterback and you want to have a chance at this league, you got to pay the guy that you believe in the amount of money he's worth. And if you told me Daniel Jones signed a contract where he was number 9 right now and he ended up at number 13, I would say that would be a fair contract for the Giants and for Daniel Jones. And that's a lot of money, man.
No, it is a lot of money.
That is life-changing, life-altering.
Well, so's $30 million. This is why I'm saying that the Giants need to go to that next level.
But again, if you are a player and if you are the NFLPA and this salary cap keeps going up, like this whole Joe Burrow thing in Cincinnati, look, man, you got to set the market for the next group of guys.
Yeah,
you have to.
Well, Joe Burrow is, we're talking about, other than Patrick Mahomes, I think the second best quarterback in football.
Yeah, but these guys have got to set the bar for the next round of guys. So like when Caleb Williams comes up for a contract in 4 years from now, he's got to reset it.
Yeah, but Daniel Jones isn't resetting the market.
No,
Daniel
he's
Jones
not.
is finding his way in the middle.
He's just got to get as much as he can. Because the other thing too about this, it's all about guaranteed money as well.
Yeah.
And, these players need to get as much guaranteed money as they possibly can. I'm sorry. That's just the reality of it.
Yeah, but listen, I know that Daniel Jones is aging. Going to say we have to get as much money as we possibly can. Is there another team out there that would pay Daniel Jones the money that the Giants are going to pay him? And if the answer is no, then knock that number down a little bit and use it on the rest of your team.
So the answer would be all right, so Carolina, the Saints, teams like that, Washington.
Would they give him $37 million a year?
Yeah, I don't see that. No, I don't see that.
Okay, so then why are the Giants doing it? I understand fair market value and earning it and all of these things that you do and wow, you build a culture, but if you don't have to give him that much money, then don't give him that much money.
Especially you saw what they asked him to do this year, man.
I know.
I will say, if there was ever a player, there are two players in my eyes that earned every dollar that they're going to get. One is Jalen Hurts, and the other is Daniel Jones. Right. Now, let me ask you this question. Do you want Jalen Hurts or you want Daniel Jones?
Well, I want Jalen Hurts, of course.
Or do you want Daniel Jones on Philadelphia with that offensive line, those running backs, and those wide receivers and that tight end?
Yeah, I would like to see that, too.
Would he have the same kind of numbers?
Probably. Maybe not quite as good, but probably they'd be up there. And I understand that he did everything and he's earned this contract, but I'm saying maybe he earned $30 million, not $37. Maybe he earned, if there's not another team, you don't have to overpay somebody.
But can I ask you a question, though?
Yeah.
Really, what does it matter to you what Daniel Jones makes?
It's not mattering to me. It matters to how you build a football team. So if you're telling me that over the course of the contract, let's say it's a 4-year deal, that I could save $30 million over those 4 years to help the rest of my team, then I'm doing that. I don't care personally about what he makes. Good for him. Get as much money as you can. But if I'm a general manager and I'm putting my general manager Casamigos winter hat on, I'm saying, all right, what's the lowest number that I can get my quarterback for? Because if you look around the league, and I just read this Micah Parsons tweet, and I've seen everything else, how hard it is to win when you pay the quarterback, I'm going to try to get my quarterback on much of a discount as I can. And if there's nobody else that's going to be out there banging on his door to give him $36 million a year, then why am I going to do it?
Do you think that Micah Parsons wants to change his mind about Jalen Hurts and the way that Jalen Hurts played in this Super Bowl?
No.
It's ridiculous. He had one of the best Super Bowl games ever.
I agree. I think Micah Parsons is totally stubborn on that. And I don't think that there's anything that Jalen Hurts could do that's going to make him, because he's stubborn, because he's a cowboy, there's no way that he's going to change his opinion on it.
That's a shame. Because, Micah Parsons should want Jalen Hurts to get as much money as he possibly could.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, listen,
and that tweet was more like a shot at Dak Prescott than it was at Jalen Hurts.
100%.
I think, anyway.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the red bell so you're notified when we have new content.